Hey everyone, I'm Johnny. Today a review and breakdown of episode 2 of Band of Brothers, which is the D-Day, or Day of Days episode, focusing on the 101st Airborne and their jump into Normandy, which was done in advance of the amphibious landings, so strongly associated with the Allied liberation of France. So let's highlight some of the standout moments in the episode, and some of the history behind the nearly 20,000 men who dangerously paradropped or flew gliders to liberate Western Europe. Episode 2 starts right aboard a Douglas C-47 Skytrain. 2,000 C-47s were used on D-Day alone. The white stripes, called invasion stripes, marked each plane during the invasion to be easily distinguished as Allied to avoid friendly fire. The British used C-47s but called them Dakotas. Each C-47 would carry 16 to a maximum of 28 paratroopers. Many C-47s would take off the night of June 5th, one day earlier than the June 6th invasion. For the airborne, they'd see an extra night of combat, starting with taking heavy flak over their drop zones. Pilots took evasive action against orders, either diverting course or changing altitude, dropping paratroopers dangerously low, or dropping them too high, leading them to drift further from their drop zones. 42 C-47s were destroyed during the D-Day invasion, 21 on D-Day itself, including 7 while towing gliders packed with men. The 101st Airborne alone would take 1,240 casualties on D-Day. Some of these paratroopers would not even make it to the ground. Lieutenant Meehan, the commander of Easy Company, would be one such casualty, with his C-47 hit before he could jump, leaving Dick Winters to take command. Ground targets for the paratroopers, including Easy Company, were intersections, bridges, and any and all resources that could aid in a counter-offensive against Allied troops who would be landing on the beaches. For those who did land, they lost much of their kit, often even their firearm. Paratroopers carried up to their own body weight and equipment. An interesting piece of equipment was the clicker, really a cheap toy issued to paratroopers, sometimes called a cricket. To help identify each other in the dark, a paratrooper would give one click, to be responded by 2 clicks. Otherwise, the code word of flash, to be responded by thunder, would identify a friendly in the dark. Thunder was apparently chosen because it's hard to hide a German accent using the th in thunder.
Flash. Thunder. Lieutenant, is that you?
One piece of equipment Winters did manage to keep was his compass. The scene where Winters is attempting to orientate himself, he uses a compass, which was in fact disguised as this fly button. Some officers and NCOs were issued such secret items that of course the Germans didn't know about should they be captured, but also many enlisted men were not aware of these either. After assembling a mixed squad of men, the episode features an ambush scene, which was inspired by an ambush executed by Lieutenant Colonel Robert Cole, likely passed over as he was a significant man, hard to do justice in just one episode. Interestingly, Bill Garnier was historically unarmed at this point, along with Winters. After the ambush in the episode, Winters arms himself with a Kar 98K. Paratroopers were trained in the use of German weapons. The true event, though, is more interesting, as only shortly after this engagement, Winters recaptures an M1 Garand, found in a German wagon presumably shot up by air support. About halfway into the episode, the scattered paratroopers begin to assemble into larger cohesive fighting companies, able to carry out larger operations. They must also decide what to do with captured German soldiers. One of the most famous scenes involves a captured German identifying himself from Oregon.
My family answered the call. All true Aryans should return to the fatherland.
A foreign policy pursued by Adolf Hitler between 1938 and 1944 called Heim ins Reich, meaning back home to the Reich, included sending letters to America to lure German immigrants back to Germany. This was largely ineffective, but some German Americans did fight for Germany.
I gotta run. I'll see you around.
Yeah. See you around.
And of course there's the execution scene of these prisoners by Lieutenant Spears. Though this is not specifically how this happened, Winters did confirm this years after the war. However you choose to view this, paratroopers behind enemy lines had no means to guard or take prisoners, and did carry out executions. There were instances of this being overlooked and even endorsed by senior officers. The most famous action Easy Company took part in during D-Day was the Brecourt Manor assault, arguably one of the best combat sequences in Band of Brothers, and one of the most historically significant in terms of how well it was executed. It remains a case study at the U.S. Military Academy West Point. In the film, much of the combat is condensed. The fighting took place over 3 hours. Despite this, many details are present and accurate in the battle. Details such as Sergeant Lipton climbing a tree and using his M1 carbine to shoot a German soldier defending a battery, which would earn him a Bronze Star. Right the way to Dog Company's Lieutenant Spears, aggressively attacking the fourth and final gun. Spears was said to have a similar close call with a grenade as shown in this scene.
Oh, what the hell is he doing? Oh, Jesus.
One interesting scene is Lieutenant Buck Compton signaling a grenade attack. One MG-42, 25-0, likely referencing the distance, then signals to grenade it. 101st Airborne veteran Pee Wee Martin found this scene confusing, remembering the signals being far more simple. One of the best scenes featuring Buck Compton and a grenade is when he throws one straight at the back of a German soldier, an event true to history. Before joining the army, Buck was a celebrated baseball catcher, and the scene is a nice tribute to this. His throw was remembered as having no arc and being right on target. Another memorable scene is Popeye apologizing for being wounded. This was something Lieutenant Winters wrote about as a poignant memory during the battle, as it spoke to the dedication of his men, not wanting to let the company down. During the assault, 4 paratroopers were killed, with 2 wounded, with the loss of at least 20 Germans plus 12 captured and 4 howitzers disabled. 8 Bronze Stars and 3 Silver Stars were issued for the success of the assault, with Winters receiving the Distinguished Service Cross 1 month after D-Day. This was personally given by Omar Bradley. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching this overview of Episode 2, Day of Days, of one of the best World War II productions ever made. I only scratched the surface on some of the many details in this episode, so feel free to leave any more information in the comment section, and we'll see you next time.